according to what we know now, most of them were destroyed in 1991. But prior to 1991, he had anthrax, he had botulism toxin, he had nerve gas. All of these things he had gotten from either the United States or pro-U.S. Companies, where we had to give him
Iran.
To use against Iran, and we had to approve every single one of those things that he got. Now, in my mind, a lot of these things are not actually weapons of mass destruction. Really, the only one weapon of mass destruction is nuclear weapons. And he never had nuclear weapons. The closest he ever got to it was way back in the reactor that never got built.
And you cannot, he would need uranium. And you cannot mine uranium. Firstly, there's no uranium in the borders of Iraq. And if he even if he was trying and had the resources to mine it, you would be able to see that from space. You would be able to tell he's mining uranium, but there's none there. Where is he going to buy it? I mean, it's just, it's just completely insane. It's lie upon lie upon lie.
Well, and then there's the other thing, which is that after 1991, there were revolts within Iraq, and our activity in Iraq, our activity through the sanctions, is what helped keep Saddam in power since 1991. The same thing is in Cuba. Fidel Castro would have been overthrown years and years ago if it hadn't been for U.S. sanctions that have basically cut Cuba off from the civilized world and kept Castro in power by leaving Cuba isolated. We did the same thing in Iraq with Saddam.
This is another good point about Iraq. We're talking so much, oh, we're going to give them freedom, we're liberating them. Well, where were we when there were rebellions against Saddam Hussein that we didn't fund? We implied we would help these people.
We stabbed them in the back. We stabbed them in the back, just like we did with the Cubans at the Bay of Pigs. We encourage these groups to rise up, and then we don't follow through. I'm not saying that we should get involved in that, but our foreign policy is often not only wrong to begin with, but it's often schizophrenic. It's often something where they don't do it correctly. I mean, what's happening today in Najaf? You know, one day they're going to go in and they're going to wipe out all the Sodderites in Najaf, and the next minute they're going to negotiate, and there's all these conflicting signals, and it doesn't work. We're doing the same thing as what we did in Vietnam.
And how accurate is the information that we're getting from Iraq anyway? How accurate is the reporting that is being done? I don't know.
Yeah, we don't know that, and they've kicked all the reporters out of Najaf. So all we're getting are either Pentagon reports or eyewitness reports from people who may or may not be reliable.
And the people there are very skeptical of us, and we do not know how to communicate with them culturally. I mean, we went into the worst prison there, Abu Ghraib, and we, instead of burning it down, we started it up again. And started torturing people.
Under new management.
And under new management. And the argument is coming to me, which I find one of the most repulsive things I've ever heard. We're not as bad because we're not torturing as bad as the Iraqis did. Our torture isn't as extreme.
This is a real danger. You know, I've seen people interviewed who say things like, the terrorists are horrible. Why should we be held to a higher standard than them? I mean, we need to be held to a higher standard. We are better than them.
Yes,
there seems to be a desire on the part of many Americans to go down to the level of our enemy, to adopt the principles of the people that we're fighting, to abandon freedom of speech, to abandon our rights in this country in order to combat the countries that don't have any rights with their people.
Yeah, to explain for anyone out there that doesn't understand, the reason we have a moral setup for going into any conflict is that what you are doing, what your government is doing is wrong and immoral. Our government does not do these things. We don't run concentration camps. We don't torture people. Therefore, that gives us the moral high ground to go in. Not that I'm saying we should, but this is the pretense that we go in and we fight immoral people. Then we go in and show that we are immoral as well, but maybe not as bad, and it's not an excuse. You know, you see awful massacres. Now I see also the denial that My Lai ever happened. And that's a horrible thing. I hear people in outrage that Kerry said, oh, there were, you know, children that were shot, there were villages burned down. Well, in My Lai, they actually killed, American soldiers went in and machine gunned 500 people and burned down their villages. And the government denied it until we saw actual photographs of the incident that had to be smuggled out of the country, hidden because they were worried they would be destroyed if found. But there were actual children, from what I've seen, that were shot there. I've looked at the picture. Those kids have to be younger than 3 years old, and they were shot by American troops. Now, I'm not saying that all American troops done this. Many people go over there. They're honorable people. They want to do what's best for their country. But war always seems to bring out the absolute lowest moral denominator in people. And it just seems to be, to me, something we shouldn't be participating in at all.
That's right. And the thing that the United States has been the most successful at in terms of shaping the world, if you look at what happened after the American Revolution, is you started seeing other countries being inspired by that and starting their own revolutions. American capitalism has inspired capitalism around the world. American freedom has inspired freedom around the world, and that's what we need to go back to. We need to set an example. We need to open up and trade with everyone. We have to get rid of sanctions and trade with everyone, because free trade is what promotes peace.
Yeah. And
sanctions promote war.
Also, if we get the more countries trading with more countries, then the economic well-being of those countries depends on peace with the other country. Unless, of course, you have a situation where someone's going to profit from war, which is usually a corporate welfare kind of a situation, or where one country is going in to loot another country of its resources, its oil or whatever. But, you know, as I'm saying, even if you want the oil, it's cheaper to buy it than it is to go in and take over the country and steal it. It makes no sense. So thank you very much for coming out.
Thank you.
We see you next time on the Libertarian Alternative. If you'd like any more information about the Libertarian Party, you can join us on the web at www.lp.org, or you can give us a call at 1-800-ELECT-US. That's toll free, and we'll send you out a free packet of information. Thanks for watching.
Don't give up.